Over the past several weeks here in our Sharp Saturday series, we've looked at some really different knives. We looked at throwing knives and throwing stars and folding knives and non-metallic knives and kind of some definitely unusual style knives. Well, today we're going to take a look at a regular knife from the folks at Tops Knives, the Silent Hero 4. This is the smaller EDC version of their very popular Silent Hero. And I tell you, as soon as I took it out of the box, I knew I was going to like it. I think you're going to like it too. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for trustworthy information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me and the mosquitoes for another Sharp Saturday video where it's Saturday and we take a look at something sharp. Sound like a squirrel or something over there. Sorry, you got distracted like a squirrel would. Anyway, as I said, today that something sharp is the Tops Silent Hero 4 and the slightly smaller version of the original Silent Hero, and got a different sheath. We're going to take a look at all that very closely down at the old stump top in just a minute. But first, big thank you to the folks at Big Daddy Unlimited for making Sharp Saturday videos possible by creating a situation where you can join Big Daddy Unlimited's membership club for just 99 cents for the first 30-day trial membership at survivalonpurpose.com/BDU. Get inside the membership site, see if you think it'll save you money, if you like the selection, you like the prices. If you think it's a good deal for you and you stick around at the regular membership price of $10 a month or $100 a year, then they'll throw me a couple of bucks for introducing you to them. So if you save money, it supports the channel. It's a win for everybody. So that's survivalonpurpose.com/BDU. So without further ado, let's get down to the old stump top, talk about the specs of this Silent Hero 4 and get to doing some of that knife stuff. Okay, here is the Tops Silent Hero 4, a little closer detail. Let's talk about the specs of this thing real quickly. So the overall length of this knife is 8.88 inches. The blade length is 4 1/4 inches, and the cutting edge part of the blade is 4 inches. The blade thickness is about 1/8 of an inch. It has what's called a hunter's point. They're calling this a hunter's point, sort of a modified drop point. It's 1095 steel with a Rockwell hardness of 56 to 58. Has a sniper gray Cerakote coating. They call it looks black to me. They're calling it sniper gray. The handle material is black canvas micarta. It has some nice, cool red liners there. The weight of this knife is 6.8 ounces, and the weight with the sheath is 8.8 ounces. Let's talk about the sheath. This is a black Kydex sheath with beta loops on it, so you can carry this thing scout style. Snaps in very, very well. The way these beta loops work is they're directional, so they're snaps, but you only can pull them open this way. So they won't pull open this, like they won't pull this way open. They've got a little, I don't know if you can even see the way these things work. There's a little tab in the bottom. Can you see that on the very bottom? And that prevents it from that being able to be lifted off. So the other side is where the spring part of the snap is. So that's pretty cool. I like those beta loops. And you can also just take them off if you want to mount this on something else with the screw holes. That's fine. A little bit of a drainage hole here. It might drain okay. I don't think there's not really a drilled hole in here to drain it. So you might want to do that if you're going to carry this thing in moist conditions. But this is designed by Anton Du Plessis. I think I've got that right. The original one was, and he was he was the chief of operations for the Silent Hero operation, which were combating rhino poachers in South Africa. And he decided this is a slightly smaller version of that knife that allows it to be a little bit more carryable for everyday carry. The original was 6 inches long. The blade shape has got a nice little finger choilish kind of area here that goes up into a finger guard with a hole in it that you can create a loop on that to give you better control, or you can lash it if you need to. There's a little bit of jimping back here, so if you want to get up there and really get a little more control there, and a nice little ramp here. A little bit of a swell right here, not a lot, but a little bit, slightly curved down like so. Lanyard hole in the butt. It's a full tang knife, as you can see, and very, very, very well done as usual from Tops Knives. So without further ado, I think we need to do the probably the knife industry standard sharp test throughout the world, probably the redneck sharp test. So let's just try that straight out of the box. And here we go. Let's see. I like to try all parts of the blade with this too. And okay, so can you see that right there? This thing passes the redneck sharp test with a double plus. I mean, seriously sharp. And then the other industry standard test that you know, everybody wants me to do, or some people want me to do, is the paper cutting test. So we're going to try that one. And as you can see, it's just, by golly. Even this paper got a little damp out here because it's been laying on the ground. It's raining. It rained today, but even when it's damp, it slices. So anyway, we're going to say it passes the paper cutting test with an A. Okay, so one of the many reasons I think that a knife is such an important tool to have with you is because I think that the ability to make fire in any kind of a survival or you know, preparedness situation is so important. Fire is so important. It does so many things for you, from purifying water to providing heat, to cooking, for light, for signaling, just for warding off you know, monsters in the night, just all sorts of good skills. So I think a good knife, a good strong knife is a very important tool to allow you to help you do that. So we're going to go through the standard testing process with this. One of the ways that I like to test these knives, and one of the skills I think is important to building fire is to be able to baton wood. And I say that because here's a piece of wood, right, laying out it's been laying in the rain on and off for a few days. So the outside could be kind of have too much moisture to readily burn, or at least to be able to get started burning easily. I know a lot of people say, I never have to baton anything. I just pick up sticks or snap dry sticks off of limbs or whatever. I get it, but you may not have that be in that environment. So don't base your decisions on what is a useful skill on just the environment that you are familiar with, because if you're in a different environment, you may need a different skill set. So we're just going to get down to the inside of this wood, where hopefully the moisture has not had a chance to penetrate and reach yet. And we do that by batoning. And it's called batoning because you got a knife and you got a baton that you bang it with. And so yes, we're going to bang on this perfectly good knife. And so we got one split here, so we're going to bang again. Yes, we are. I know that just offends some people tremendously. And I say, you know what I say to that? I say, just get over it, man, because I'm going to keep doing it. So you might as well get used to it if you want to watch these videos. We can do it a little bit more. All right, so we got a couple pieces here. That should have some dry. This should be dry here, and that part should be really dry. So the next part of the process is to get some smaller, easily combustible tinder. And one thing I didn't check yet, and we'll take a look at it real quickly, but is chopping, because this is not really a chopper, okay? But if you had to chop some small something to maybe make a shelter or something like that, we're just going to see how well this thing might chop. It does have a little bit of a flare here, so let's just do a little chopping right here. And yeah, I mean, you could chop out some notches with it or something, but it doesn't have very much mass. It's very lightweight, about 6 ounces. If you need to make a notch, you're going to be better off probably just push cutting it, or maybe even, you know, doing a gentle batoning into it, like so. You know, like that. You're going to be better off doing that than chopping with a knife of this size and this balance. So, having said that, let's see how well it carves some of them there curls. And the goal here is to carve really thin little curls, because the thinner they are, the less mass they have, the less heat energy it takes to get them to combust. So, and when they combust into flame, then they can share that flame with other little curls and cause them to combust. So the smaller and lighter and thinner you can make this pile of curls, and the bigger you can make it, the better likelihood that you'll be able to start a fire more easily. And you'll notice there's a little knot here that's kind of interfering with my curls a little bit, but You know, a lot of times you can see people on videos and stuff making these things where they stay on the stick. I never really worry about that. I just find me something to put them on. Like if I'm on the ground, I don't have the old stump top. I put a neckerchief or a handkerchief or a shirt or a hat or anything and carve them into it. Anything just to keep them off the ground. I try not to use a rock because you notice the blade hits the bottom here. To me, that gives me more control. If I'm pressing this down on something that's still, I got more control to make little smaller curls, because if I have to pick it up, then there's less control. You can do it, but there's less. But you can see, even with that less control, how well this thing works. It's I mean, just that little click, you make those. But those are a little bigger than I like to start with, honestly. I like to start with these little bitty ones. So let's try a little bit more on this one. And it's a lot easier if you have a really sharp edge, a corner to start working, a corner to start carving on. And then as you carve, you're going to be creating little micro corners. And just that's why I rotate it slightly between strokes, so that I can get those little micro corners that I just created. And you can see that's how you get that really angel hair looking curls. And you can see those curls are really, really thin, really, really thin. Using a good tool, a good sharp tool, is so satisfying. It's almost sensual. Okay, just I want you just to, would you just look at that? You see that? Just look at that. Oh my goodness. Look at those little curls. Those are like Shirley Temple curls. Get out of there, you think. Okay, anyway. Man, this is, okay, I'm gonna stop. As much fun as I'm having doing this, it's so satisfying. Look at that little pile of beautiful curls. So, that's great, and I'm pretty sure I can start a fire with that just like that. But, you know me, and you know I have to, it is necessary for me to pick up the fat wood out of storage that's been out here in my storage, fat wood storage area for, whew, man, close to 7, 8 years, maybe almost 9 years. I don't know, a long time, 8, 9 years. And we're just gonna try to carve a little fat wood off here too, because if you're not familiar with fat wood, it is from pine trees, mostly pine trees that have been, the sap has gone down. And this came off a stump about 8 years ago that I found. And it's just solid. It's got this resin in here, which I think is terpenol or terpene or something like that. Same thing they make turpentine out of. It's so flammable and smells so good. I'm trying to carve a couple curls off of here, and just really, I'm doing this for one reason, so I can smell it. You want to smell it? Look at that. Oh man, there's just, whew, man. Speaking of sensual, that's like the best perfume ever. So women, if you want to drive your men crazy, get you some fat wood perfume. All right, let's see so another thing I like to do with fat wood is scrape it. So it's got a really good edge on the front. Let's see what kind of a spine it's got. I like to have a spine that's sharp enough to scrape with. That's just a handy thing to be able to do, to scrape tinder, to scrape something you want to burn, to scrape an arrow shaft or smooth something up or anything like that. So let's just see. And not really a scrapey, sharp spine, but we're getting a little bit of dust there. We can find the right spot, but not super sharp and scrapey. Let's put that off here. Now, sometimes on these tops knives, the very tip out here is sharper spine, but this one really doesn't seem to be. And it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of scrapiness to it, but we're getting a little bit of fuzz there, but not a lot. And what's handy to have about that is really easy to get that started with a spark if you can get that fuzz on there. So I'm going to try a little bit more, because what I want to do here, I want to do two different things this time. So usually I put the fat wood in the curls and then start it up. But what I'm going to try to do this time is, since we've got such good curls, I'm going to try to start it without the fat wood, and then we'll do the fat wood separately, just to compare how well, which one starts easier. So I'll just make some little, ooh man, some little paper thin curls from fat wood. Those are really thin. They're so thin. Oh my goodness. See those? Can you see how thin those are? Almost like translucent. I'm going to carve those off right there. And here's what we're gonna do then. Just by way of an example, I'm gonna start with my handy dandy Exotac Fire Rod XL, my favorite ferro rod, and see how well it strikes a spark. And not really great. This doesn't have a real sharp spine, as I said. Tops knives are really not known for having a sharp spine. But we're gonna see if we can get us a fire going anyway. On some of these super fine baby curls here. Just trying. And it took. And I think we got it good enough where these will burn if I don't put it out. And it put itself out. So let's try this. Let's try some of that fat wood. And the fat one, once it gets going, it ain't gonna put itself out. We can scrape it over here, let it get the rest of this stuff burning. And there we go. Alrighty. Okay, so let's do a quick recap, and I'll give you one piece of information I forgot to tell you up front. So first of all, we're talking about, again, the Tops Silent Hero 4 and the industry standard sharpness test, the redneck sharp test. This thing passed with double flying colors. It is razor sharp right out of the box. I'm not surprised. Every Tops knife I've ever checked out has always been top quality. Passed the paper cutting test. Chopping, this is not a chopper, okay? You could do maybe some slight little small stuff with it, but that's really not the best use of this knife. Batoning smaller stuff up to like 3 inches or so, no problem whatsoever. It's a big solid full tang knife. Not big, but it is solid. Carving, man, oh man, this thing carved that wood like butter. Just absolutely great. It not only is the edge great on it, the edge geometry is great, the handle is good, it's really comfortable in your hand. You really have a lot of control. The kind of just the way this angle curves and however this thing is designed, it's right. It gives you really good control. So carving great. Like most Tops knives or mini Tops knives, not a really good sharp spine back here, not a 90-degree spine, but like I've also found on some of these Cerakote knives, once you kind of scrape a few times and kind of put a little pressure on it, it kind of wears that Cerakote a little bit on the edge, and it gives you more of a sharp edge. So I was able to strike a ferro rod and get a fire going with this. So, you know, that's it. It's just not as sharp and didn't do as well as some other knives. All that being said, that's all great and good, all that practical stuff. But as you know, here at Survival on Purpose, we are all about the science, and to that end, we maintain a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge knife testing facility. And the industry standard scientific test we like to do is to test the aerodynamic balance for every fixed blade knife. And to do that, we use this mechanism here, the balance, orientation, and rotation device. So that, coupled with proper scientific method, gives us a really accurate test of the aerodynamic efficiency of a fixed blade knife. So I think we ought to do it. You want to? Proper scientific method, again, is key. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh yeah. But one of the foundations of science is replicable results. They don't always work. You know me, there's always one more, right? Okay, we're gonna call this one balanced. Okay, as I said, we're gonna call it balanced, and it bit pretty good. So that was a hopefully a reasonably coherent look at the Tops Silent Hero 4. The piece of information that I forgot to tell you before is the price of this thing. Everybody always asks me the price. The MSRP on this one is about $255. The street price is going to be around $146 everywhere I can find it. They've just re-released the second run of this at the time of this video anyway, so some places are still sold out, some places have it, but they are doing another run of these. So by the time you see this video, they may be available everywhere, or they may be sold out the second time, because this is very, very popular. So your mileage may vary, but hopefully I'll get this out in time where you'll be able to find one of these, because if you're looking for a really good, well-made, well-designed little EDC style fixed blade, and honestly for me, 4-inch fixed blade is kind of almost over the line of EDC, but it's a very handy size for use. Fits in my hand really well. I wear medium-sized gloves. Very, very nice. Great edge, great strength, great finish, great comfort level and feel when you're using it. And she's balanced too, so thanks to the folks at So anyway, thanks to the folks at Tops Knives for sending me this so I could show it to you. And as always, thank you for watching Survival on Purpose. My name's Brian. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.